I went to Oxford University and did a degree in English because I took it for granted. You know. That was what I was going to do. History was actually the subject I was getting best marks in, but I couldn't imagine doing anything except English literature. And the same way, edited the university newspaper, which they hadn't had a woman do that in those days before. And they had something at Oxford, well, maybe every university, called the University Appointments Board, and you went there to get advice on what you were going to do when you went down from university. And they said, have you thought about teaching? My mother was a teacher, so I knew what hard work it was, for one thing. I said, well, I'm a writer. And they shook their heads and said, well, the only hope is if you go to a provincial newspaper somewhere a long way from London, which is, of course, the focus of everything in Britain, and train for a year. I thought, well, journalism is clearly the only way I can earn my living by writing. So I certainly will be happy to be a journalist. But with the arrogance of just 21, I thought, I have edited the university newspaper. I know how to do this. I'm not going to train. And we had something called the University Press Club, to which we invited speakers from Fleet Street, which was the focus of journalism in Britain. And everybody who had come to talk to us over the years had politely said when they left, if there's anything I can do for you, call me, or ring me, this being Britain. And so I did two things when I finished my degree. I was in Oxford the week after everybody else had gone, and it was such a sort of elegiac time that I sat down and wrote a piece about leaving Oxford, and sent it to the deputy editor of the Times, Daily Times, who was one of the people who'd come to talk to us. And to my astonishment, they published every single word of it, which encouraged me to try other people. So I got in touch with the news editor of the Sunday Times, which was then a separate newspaper. And he said, well, I can give you a try, but the only thing I can give you to go to write about is a rose show, a flower show, 800 words, a colour piece, which of course just meant atmospheric. So off I went to the National Rose Show at something called the Horticultural Hall in Westminster. And it was full of displays of roses, with all those lovely names that they give roses, like Peace and Victoria and Queen Elizabeth. And I roamed about with my notebook, listening to the people who grew roses asking questions, and I thought, how on earth can I make this interesting? Nobody's going to be interested in flowers. And just as I was about to leave, I heard a little old lady say to one of the rose growers, how far apart should I keep my passions? And the rose grower said, well, 18 inches is a safe distance, madam. So I thought, that's my introduction. And I went back and wrote my piece, and they published it. And the newspaper had an editorial meeting every Tuesday after their Sunday edition came out, and they discussed what was in it. And the news editor said to the editor, "I'd like to take this girl on, but the budget is a bit tight." And the foreign manager, who was a gentleman called Ian Fleming, said, he was writing a column for the newspaper as well, and he said, "I'll take her on for the column half-time and you can have her for the other half of the time." So that was how I became a professional writer, was thanks to the creator of the Bond books and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.